You know, if I had any womanly wiles at all, or a deceptive bone in my body, I could just come before you tonight and say, look, they washed my hair finally. But we didn't have time today. So this is still not washed. All I did was drag a comb through it. This is bizarre hair. Well, although my friend Pauline told me it's a gift from God and it just is gonna look always good, no matter if I wash it or not. Maybe it's my superpower. Anyway, I dig it. It is, I don't know what time it is. I never wear my glasses. I got my new glasses and I love them. I can see all kinds of stuff. But you have to put them on and then you have to take them off and then you have to put them on, take them off, and I have to take them off when I look at something up close, and I have to put them on to look at something far away, like the clock, and right now I'm in up close mode, so. It is sometime after supper time. I think maybe about 8:30. And last night I slept. The last thing I remember was 11 o'clock at night. I got woken up a couple times during the night, but it never took any time at all to go back to sleep. And I finally sat up in bed and began my day at 8:30. So I would call that one darn good night of sleep. It felt amazing. It felt so good. Yeah, it was a really big rest. And then what happened after that? After that, I had to order a little breakfast because the teaching that they do before you go home with your primary caregiver, who is, oh, look at me shake. Some of the medicines give you a little bit of a tremor. That's what that's all about. Anyway, my superhero and angel and primary caregiver and support person, circuit rider, also known as Bill, came into the hospital at about 9:30, and we got a nice little chat while waiting for Wayne, who is my in-hospital coordinator, to come and teach us some stuff. And he did, and it took up most of the morning, and everybody who wanted a piece of me this morning, except for one person, had to defer until the afternoon, and then they never came back. So I saw a lot fewer providers today, but I spent a considerable time learning about what life is like gonna be like after I go home. And I have to admit, it's considerably more restrictive than I thought it was going to be. But they had really solid reasons for why it's that way. And I'm convinced. So some of what you will know how utterly painful it's going to be to give up sushi. I'm faking crying. It's really going to be painful for me, as that was among my favorite foods, and I had it frequently. And I loved the cleanliness of it, and this oceanness of it, and the ritual of it, and I will not be able to do that anymore, at least not with anything raw. And I will not be able to do it anymore at any restaurant that does it, because far too many restaurants are not strict enough contamination-wise for a transplant patient. And that is now my reality from a week ago through the end of my life. I will always, that's the one thing I will always, always, always have to recognize and be careful about, is the fact that I'm a transplant patient. And I am going to be so dampened down in my immune system that until they have this magic called immunosuppression while still not getting infections, until they have that regimen down, which takes about a year, I have to be super strict. No leftovers any more than 3 days old. No no green leafy vegetables, because as you all know, salad in the store, I'm going to lose my stack that my elbow is standing on. Salad in the store, I'm so sorry about this tremor. Let me try my right hand. Has been a source of E. coli and other nasty things. So I'm so sorry. You're having to look at my tremor. It doesn't hurt or anything. It's just wobbly. I'll keep it short tonight. So anyway, yeah, 6 different types of fruit, none of which I ever ate anyway, none of which bother me at all. And almost everything I like to eat is going to have to be cooked beyond the temperature I like to eat it at, or it's going to have to be pasteurized. My favorite cheeses are the nice soft moldy ones. I can't have any of those unless they say pasteurized on them. So if you find a good pasteurized blue cheese, or what's the other one that is like blue cheese? I'll think of it. I'm not going to make you wait for my brain fart moment here, but it's really going to be more restrictive. No salad bars, no buffets, no restaurants at all for 90 days. And so I have to admit, at first I thought it was going to just be rare steak and sushi, but it's a lot more. And it's really important because there are 2 things that kill transplant patients, and that's rejection and infection. And, there are other things too, obviously, but the big 2 are rejection and infection. And so I'm on anti-rejection medications supported by anti-infective medications, and I need to do everything I can to make sure that the $1 million that just went into me is not wasted because I don't have the self-control to protect what I've gotten as a gift from someone who died. So that's just facts. That's just facts. And I will comply because they're absolutely right. How could you take a donor lung, which has to come from a person who passed away tragically, and take that chance away from somebody else, and then abuse it and not follow the rules? I won't do that. I won't do that, and you'd be surprised how many people do. Yeah, so I was also told that if I am ever non-compliant with my medications or start rebelling against those or get too depressed to do it, one of my caretakers is to call 911, have me admitted to a psych ward, call UCLA lung transplant program immediately, and they will non-voluntarily commit me until the psychological problem is solved. And I am once again willing to commit to the regimen. And that made total sense to me too, because I've had depression before, and I've had lots of friends with mental illness before. And the first sign of something going terribly wrong in a person's life is when they refuse to take care of $1 million organ that they got from a dead person and throw away their second chance at life. That's just, that right off the bat is mentally ill behavior. And we're not talking about if you have some other kind of terminal disease, they're not going to let you die because of the transplant. We're talking about someone who willingly takes the gift and then throws it overboard. So this is serious business, I must admit, much more serious business than I was aware of to begin with. But they're absolutely right. They're absolutely right. And one of the things I'll be doing before I'm discharged from the hospital is writing my letter to the donor family, and it doesn't need to be long, and it doesn't need to be assuming a lot about their feelings. It's kind of to let them know how I feel about that awesome gift and how much I know that their loved one must have been an amazing person to have, either signed over as an organ donor, or for the people who knew and loved him to know him so well that he would have been an organ donor, and they know that he would have, so they do it. So I get to do that, and they get to do it if they want, and it sits in a file, and if they ever want to see my letter, they said it's often, they don't even make the offer for a year. They don't even tell the grieving people that there is a letter until it's been a year. And then they give the donor family the opportunity to write a letter. And then they take it from there as to whether the donor and the recipient are willing to, do whatever they want with that connection. And they do everything with it, from never wanting to open the letter again and not writing their own, all the way up to meeting and becoming extended family members and going on vacations together. And so it's whatever everybody can handle. And I've already said that whatever they can handle, I can handle, right up to a meeting. I would love to meet them. I would love to know more about my donor. And believe it or not, I already have a hunch as to who it might have been. But I'm not going to conjecture. In my little own heart, I have a hunch who it might have been, and I'm probably completely off base. But what else? I've also found out that, sadly, it's probably not going to be in the big picture to learn to take pretty rocks and make them into slabs, and take pretty slabs and make them into jewelry. It's just stone dust is bad for the healthiest of lungs, and you get a dose of it even if you use proper equipment. So I've got my rock collection, and I'll go through and pick out the pieces that I want to keep as specimen pieces, and I'll figure out how to turn the rest of them into blessings, either through selling them or giving them away. And and I'm content with that. I'm content with that. And the last thing is no more dirt. Dirt has a lot of really infectious bad stuff in it, and some of it, a lot of it, is funguses and stuff like that. Aspergillus. There's another one they mentioned, but you can't be gardening because you kick all that stuff up. You know that nice loamy smell when you're digging your hands in your garden and it smells so rich and pungent and good. A lot of that is mold, and not going to cut it in a transplanted lung. Infection, rejection, two things we got to avoid. So that's all. The cleanliness and disinfection and lack of contamination and keeping foods fresh and not using foods past their expiration date, period, and not keeping leftovers longer than 3 days, and all of that stuff is stuff that many of my friends already put into practice, and not even being transplant recipients. And you ladies will know who you are, because I've always been the one that's gone on whendoesstuffexpire.com and showed them that it doesn't expire as soon as you think it does. Well, maybe not, but I've got a transplanted lung. So for me, all of that stuff is going to have to apply. It's what I have to do. I'm trying to think of interesting things, and truly the whole day was interesting. I found my nap very interesting. About 2 hours that I got a break and took a little nap. Then they woke me up and took me for a walk. Then they woke me up and gave me the breathing treatment that I call getting punched in the lungs, because that's what they do. They have this machine, and you put your mouth around a mouthpiece, and the machine punches you in the lungs for 10 minutes. And it's a way to physically, manually open up the lung tissue that has to be nice and open and breathing deep. And mine still obviously needs some opening up, because I'm still on 2 liters of, I'm down to 2 liters of oxygen today, and that's pretty low, but I cannot do all the things of daily living without getting a little winded and dropping a little below a 90. But all of it's very comfortable for me, because I had grown accustomed to going as low 80s and not feeling particularly terrible. And I was able to I'm able to recover quickly, but the fact is that anything below 90 is harmful, and the fact that I had to do it doesn't make it something desirable to do now. So they're slowing me down a little on the oxygen weaning, and I'll be doing much more walking, much more exercising, much more breathing treatments, and really trying to stretch that puppy out and get it to the point where it's absorbing fully, and it will be a normal lung. There's no reason that I can't get back to 100% function in that lung, and that's enough to function as 2 lungs in someone my age. So it's all a matter of just really working that program and doing the work. So they have projected my discharge date for Monday, and my task Friday, Saturday, is today Thursday? If it is, then my task for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is to walk as much as possible, to do as much as I can independently, to keep doing those lung breathing treatments, and they'll give me one whenever I want. The minimum is 3 times a day to get your lungs punched for 10 minutes. And to tell you the truth, at first they'd walk through the door and I'd go, oh no, not you people again, I can't do it. But I did it, and now when I see them, I'm like, oh goody, you people, I love you people. You make my lungs feel so much better. So that's the difference between the no pain, no gain part of it, where you just have to shove through it and get it done, and the part where it no longer are you having to shove through it, but you're loving the effects. And that's the stage I'm at now. And we've got it down. We medicate me for discomfort before we start, let that take effect, and then they come in and do their thing. And I'm able to really exhale and really inhale. And a lot of this is my chest muscles, because obviously the lung is used to functioning perfectly. This donor did not have lung disease, and I probably had some musculature that could really move that lung. And what we're doing is we're catching my existing musculature that has weakened terribly up with this lung, who was working right along no problem until the 23rd of this month. So yeah, so that's what I gotta do. And I gotta tell you, you guys are my motivators, and you helped me get to this point and get through the rough stuff up to this point. But I am also now really highly motivated by the drama and the selflessness and the grief of a family who lost somebody and whose only hope of their loved one living on are the people that got transplants from him. So that just moves me. That moves me so much. And I can imagine if I were a mother or a wife and I lost somebody, I would pray the rest of my days that who they donated to lived and lived well. And I'm going to do that for them. And now I'm getting all emotional, and I don't like it when people see me cry. So anyway, I love you guys, and we're going to make this work, and we're going to honor the fact that the Lord willed this to happen for me, and we're going to honor this donor's family, and we're going to honor all you people who stayed interested for 9 long years for Lord knows what reason. And I'm going to make this work. We're going to make this work. So thanks for being with me. And I'm going to get offline because I'm really going to start bawling now, which is never a bad thing. Okay. I love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.